You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to our Friday review. Glad to have you back here today. Looking forward to ending this week strong with going over everything that's been happening over the past week in our private and global practice. I want to go over a product review that I believe everyone should just keep in their home. Therefore, you are prepared when needed. I'll go over that. And then I want to go over two great lab research studies you should know about. One on the impact of blueberries on cardiovascular health and type 2 diabetes, and the other on your cholesterol levels, one specific type of cholesterol, and cardiovascular as well as Alzheimer disease risk. There was a direct correlation just found. I want to share that with you as well. So, love the Friday reviews. I basically just going over some of the best, I think, usable data that I found during the week. I like to update you with all the craziness of what's been going on in the practice and what goes on with running a company where you're helping people with their health in 19 countries around the world. And of course, I love the health and fitness industry in general. So when I can bring you a new product or book or anything each week that's relatively low cost that you could use to improve your life, I want to do that. So let's get started with what has been going on over the past week in the practice. And it's a great thing for us as a team, but we are actually taking a little bit of a step back. And that means a step back, not in terms of what we're trying to provide or do, but we're actually looking at everything right now and saying, how can we make it easier? How can we make it simpler to use? And how can we get you to access all this information faster? So we have three main websites. One is my website, stephencabral.com, and that's where I want it to be the hub. That's where people go for the podcast. We're going to be breaking down the podcast into even simpler ways. Like, let's say you like listening to Weight Loss and Wellness Wednesdays, or you like the Motivation Mindset Mondays. We're going to tag everything and just get them in that specific category. We're going to tag shows just for thyroid. So you can find all the thyroid shows. And that just takes time to figure out of the, let's see what today's show is for you, out of the 1,274 shows, which ones are mainly just about the thyroid, and how can we give you those? So we're doing all of that right now behind the scenes, and so stephencabral.com will eventually be your place for the videos. I'll start to do videos on short ones on teaching you all these different topics. I'll have the podcast always, and I'm also going to be doing some short webinars, somewhere around between like 30 and 40 minutes, where I teach on a topic and tell you, here, these are all the different roadblocks. Here are all the underlying root causes holding you back from repairing the thyroid, the adrenals, mindset, sleep, digestion, you name it. And you're going to choose the topics. And I'm going to talk on them. And I'm going to teach for 30 to 40 minutes. And by the end of that, there's no doubt in my mind, you will know what you need to do to correct that or help someone else that you love with that condition. That is my goal. That is my one goal. And those will be all free. So I'm going to try to record one of those per month, maybe more, and start to roll those out later this fall. So I'm excited about that. That's going to be the new stephencabral.com. Now, for IHP, for Integrative Health Practitioner Institute, it's finally going to get its own website. So instead of it just being one page on what the certification is, well, what we want to do is really grow this into the premier health coaching certification. And I really feel like that's where it's at. We work with health coaches now all over the world. We certify health coaches, but it's also a course. It's for those people who don't necessarily want to be a health coach, but they want to learn more about how to achieve optimal health for themselves and for others. So that's integrativehealthpractitioner.org, and that will transform and actually become a full website that has content on it, that has brochure, that has webinars, that has all these great things teaching you from integrative health perspective of how to take control of your health. And you're going to be able to search for practitioners all over the world. So we're closing in on our 1,000th health coach, which is so exciting because we're not even a year old yet with integrative health practitioner. And the growth has just been fantastic. We allow in 100 new people a month. And so we're basically, right there and can't wait to basically celebrate that milestone. And it'll be pretty much right around when the new website comes out this September, October. Okay, so that's all being rebuilt. You're going to be able to search for practitioners. You're going to be able to see our practitioners. We can't wait for that. Super excited. We also started just mailing out our actual printed certificates. I put the seal on them, I sign them, and then my team ships them out to our practitioners all around the world for level 1 and level 2. Super exciting. And the last part is this. We are adding a content section to Equilibrium Nutrition. That means we're going to be providing you with short articles, longer A to Z articles based on your health-based conditions. You can learn more about it. You can research, you can search them out. You can see research-backed articles that you know that you can trust, and then what to do about them. So if you're someone that doesn't want to watch a webinar, okay, well, we have an article that might take 5 minutes to read, and it's going to give you that outline. It's going to give you that head start. So that's super exciting. I love being able to provide as much free content as possible, meaning that I don't want money or being able to buy content to be that roadblock. That's why I made the Rain Barrel Effect as inexpensive as I could and just said, listen, please, tell your friends about the book, buy the book, give it away. All profits go directly to charity. I just want that information to be free for people, as close to free as I could get it. The book still actually costs money to print, and that's what we're trying to do. So we're just looking to take that to the next level. I mean, in the future, we'll have a newsletter. We're going to have all these great things. We're hiring a medical director. I'm asking my medical director that I hire, I'm going to have them produce one audio, video, or article per month, or all. And that's going to be them teaching you from their perspective too. So I don't want Equilibrium Nutrition to ever be about me, and it should never be. I'm taking my name off everything on the website. I want Equilibrium Nutrition to represent a community of people who care about their health. And I have 20-something people on my team now. It's not me running that show. It's not. I do the podcast. I provide the vision. I provide the strategy for what I want to see. I formulate the products. That's what I do. They, 20-something people, operate the machine in order to get people all around the world, hundreds in labs every single month. We ship them out. It's basically like clockwork. And we have a Facebook group with 6,000 members that we have an amazing team of health coaches answering questions there. We see success stories every day. So, that's really what it's all about. So I don't want to be synonymous with that. I have my podcast. I have my own website, but Equilibrium Nutrition is about a movement. And I care deeply about that. So there's going to be a lot of voices. Our integrative health practitioners are going to have the opportunity to write articles, and it's going to be great. The last thing I'll tell you is this, or last two, because these are actually pretty important. We will have the very first weight loss system of its kind, something that I've wanted to debut for quite some time, but I didn't want it to be rushed. And we're going to debut that late this fall, and it's going to be for 1,000 people only. So that's going to be kind of our first group. We've already had people testing it out, of course. We already, keep in mind, I started in body transformation in 1997. Let's see if that's correct. Yeah, right around there, 1997. So, I wasn't full-time then, but that's when I got my start. So over that time, 20 years experience, I've had the fortune, or been fortunate enough, to oversee teams, hire teams, and myself work individual clients. And we believe, and I know from working with over 250,000 people, that we have weight loss down to a science. And we're combining that with the best of ancient wisdom and all of the modern-based research and science that we have. So you're going to get that. That is coming this fall. Super excited about that. I'll let you know more about it, but it is going to be kind of under the radar, and it's going to be for 1,000 people to start. That's it. And again, we have a global community now of well over 100,000 people. So we're going to take a small section of people, and we're going to say, listen, we want you to use this. We want you to enjoy it. We want your feedback. And we also want to see the amazing success stories that you produce, like we know with our private clients here in Boston. So we can't wait. I mean, that is like the beginning. Like we've been doing labs for years in Boston, and we rolled it out online. We've been doing protocols for years. We rolled it out online. And now we're rolling out our first weight loss system that we've been doing for years. My first studio started in 2007. So I'm super excited about this. All right, the last part is this. Unfortunate, again, this is why you can't always control everything in life, but you can control your response to it. So unfortunately, we live in a condo in Boston. That's not the unfortunate part. But the unfortunate part is that my neighbor upstairs from us in our condo building allowed their dishwasher to overflow, and it seeped all through the floor, went into our ceiling, went down the wall, and into the bathroom as well, which is connected like basically off of the kitchen. So we had mold grow in our condo, which we were not happy about. We thought that it was not an issue. We didn't necessarily smell anything, which is not the case. That's what you should be looking for. And I know better. And so I said, we need to open up this ceiling, and there was mold in the ceiling. Well, I said, all right, let's test. Our girls, my wife got tested, I got tested. All of us have mold. Not surprising, right? Not surprising, but surprising for the majority of people out there who don't know that 52% of people living in the UK and the US, that's all the stats that I have is only UK and US on that, have mold in their house. Could be low levels, but low levels begins to tax the immune system. So now I already have the mold protocol that I've been using with adults for quite some time, but I'm developing a mold protocol, most of which our adult protocol can be used, but at a smaller dosage. But I'm developing a protocol now for my girls as well that I will then debut in the future on equilibriumnutrition.com. Because remember, when I tell you that this is the same exact products and protocols that I use with my family and in my private practice, I mean that. That's not me just saying that. I mean, I practice every day in the real world, but also this is exactly what I do with my family. So once you get that, once I back it up, that it took care of the mold, that is when I debut it for you, because everything is backed not only by science, but also by real world use. Doesn't matter that it's just by science. You need real world application of it too. So that'll be coming late this fall. We need to roll through the protocol, which is going to be about 6 weeks to 8 weeks. It's 8 weeks for the children as well. Okay. So that is that. That's what's been going on. Kind of that's why behind the scenes, everything's behind the scenes right now. IHP is closed. Equilibrium Nutrition, you're still seeing everything that we offer. And StephenCabral.com has not been updated in a while. Of course, at StephenCabral.com/podcast, every day there's a new podcast updated there. So that's that. Okay. I want to go over something today. I'm going to do a whole show on this one day. But for right now, because it came up in private practice this week, which means I want to share it with you, is that if you're getting some pain in your lower back, if you sometimes get a little burning while urinating, or let's say you have to frequently urinate every hour, less than every hour, an easy thing to do would be to test for if you have elevated levels of something called leukocytes. And leukocytes, simply put, are a clear, you won't see them in your urine, but white blood cell that in a higher number typically indicates this: a urinary tract infection, sometimes a virus, sometimes, and sometimes candida overgrowth. So I like to assume that maybe it could be all three, right? Possibly. So here's the thing though. I think it's like $10 and you get like 100 strips. I'm going to link them up. Maybe it's $15, $20 maximum. And it's these 10-point urinalysis strips. Now, this is not to replace your doctor. Remember, I'm not diagnosing. I'm not telling you how to cure or treat anything over a podcast. That's not what I do, right? We save that for conventional medicine. That's their realm. I don't work in that realm. So what I want to share with you is this, though. How can you take back control of your health and put it in your hands? And you can actually purchase the same reactive strips that I have in my functional medicine doctor's office and that your doctor will have at the lab, or the lab will have. And it is a reagent strip. It's called a urinalysis reagent strip. And it's a 10-point strip. And you literally just match up the color along the bottle. You should not diagnose yourself, right, with anything. But if you do have some lower back pain, some burning urination or frequent urination, etc., you can urinate on this test strip or urinate into a cup and dip the test strip in and then lie it on its side. And you can actually see if you have elevated levels of leukocyte. If it's basically white, if it shows up white, and this is the test strip I'm going to give you because it could be different with each test strip, no issue typically. Doesn't mean that you don't have urinary tract infection, but it's a good sign. You're on the right direction at least. But if it shows up towards the purple end, good sign, urinary tract infection or candida overgrowth or some type of viral overload. But at least you know that you have an elevated level of leukocytes. Okay, why is this important? Well, you can actually do something about that. So one, if you want, you go to your doctor and say, listen, I did a urinalysis test strip. I have high levels of leukocytes. And they're going to say, okay, you probably have a urinary tract infection. Here's some antibiotics. So you can go the antibiotic route if you choose to. Keep in mind, there may be repercussions then for your gut health, right? Or you may decide to go the natural health route. It's your prerogative. I can't tell you what to do. But we also have something called the Healthy Urinary Tract Protocol. I don't even know if it's on the website. I hope that it's on the website because I'm talking about it. But I'll tell you what it is. It is a specific D-mannose that we use. It is citricidal drops, and it's ascorbic acid. Let me tell you why. There's always a reason why. Protocols rarely work as one thing. Like, oh, drink some cranberry juice. Okay, cranberry juice is acidic, so it helps kill bacteria. That's one part. Number two, cranberry juice does contain D-mannose. Not at a high level, not as an extract, but it contains that. We say, okay, good. Well, what is D-mannose doing? D-mannose is actually helping when you have E. coli in your bladder, bacteria in your bladder, which can come, by the way, from leaky gut. It helps to take that bacteria, think of them as claws for the bacteria, and helps release those claws off your bladder wall. And then the acidity from ascorbic acid and the vitamin C, which boosts the immune system, will help to wash that away. Now, there's one more thing. The citricidal enables you to kill the E. coli or the bacteria that may be there. Again, not treating, not curing, not diagnosing. But it's what we do. I've helped, I don't know if it's thousands yet, but at least hundreds of people that have said, I have a urinary tract issue. Can you help me with that? Here's what to do for 5 days. And so I don't know if it's linked up. You know what? I have to tell you if it's linked up or not. We'll go to equilibriumnutrition.com and I'm just going to type in urinary and we'll see if it pops up in that search box. And it does. Okay, good. Urinary tract protocol, and it's all there. D-mannose, pure vitamin C, which is the ascorbic acid crystals, pharmaceutical grade. They're not pharmaceutical. Remember that we don't offer that, but it just means that they're highest quality, pure, right? And pure. And the citricidal drops, amazing. Now, here's what I would do. That's going to help. Okay, we give you the protocol. But I have to warn you, you want to find out why you may have gotten a urinary tract infection in the first place. That's important to look at. So if you run an organic acids test, it will let you know if you have higher levels of candida overgrowth. Or if you run a stool test, it will tell you if you have higher levels of E. coli. That's important to me because you don't want recurring urinary tract infections because you want to be able to remove the E. coli or the candida and then seal up that gut wall. Crucial. Very, very important. And also make sure you have enough lactobacilli, Lactobacillus acidophilus, good bacteria in your gut, namely the small intestine. Okay, so that's that. Wanted to share that with you. Of course, I will link up, I believe I'm just going to link up an Amazon link for these, and that will be for those test strips. Keep in mind, I went over 1 out of the 10 parameters. I will do a whole show on this one day, but really what matters is that first one that I gave you right now for what we're talking about, and they're super inexpensive. I mean, it costs like, I didn't even know, 10 cents a strip if you get 100 or so. Okay, let's move on. I have some research to bring you today. I'm going to start with the negative research, and I'm going to end on a high note, right? That's what it's all about. Negative research will be helped by the second research study. All right, research study. Let's give you where this is coming out of. All right, it is coming out of Dr. Wingo, a neurologist and researcher with Atlanta, VA, and Emory University. Okay, so this is researchers with the Atlanta Veterans Affairs Medical Center and Emory University in Georgia. And Dr. Thomas Wingo, W-I-N-G-O, led this study. Okay, so the study was trying to figure out other factors that lead to Alzheimer's. So we know that there's this specific gene or allele called the ApoE4 gene. Let's just call it a gene for now. And we'll call it specific protein, allele, but let's just call it a gene to keep things simple, okay? We're looking at those people with the so it's APOE, ApoE we call it, APOE4 risk factor. And that means that these specific people are more prone to cardiovascular disease, inflammation, and Alzheimer's. Now, if you have that, it does not mean you're going to get Alzheimer's. I did a 3-part series on Alzheimer's. In my opinion, it goes through everything you need to know about Alzheimer's. It really does. Like what you need to test for, what to look for. There's actually 14-point factors that you need to look for. So please go back, check out my episodes on Alzheimer's, and you can just use the search bar at stephencabral.com/podcast to find that. Okay, so here's the thing. Those people with an APOE4 have about a 10%, when we look at that, right? We look at that, about 10% of those people are going to get Alzheimer's. Now, that makes them, though, about 93% more susceptible. But again, it still doesn't mean everyone that has an APOE4 gene is going to get Alzheimer's. It's so important because people get all worried when I show them that they have a 4, right? If you have a double 4, it's a greater risk factor, but it does not mean that you're going to get Alzheimer's. I want you to put your mind at ease with that because you can literally worry yourself, and higher levels of cortisol lead to Alzheimer's as well. So we have to be careful with this. But here's what we want to look for. They're looking at other factors. So we're looking at other factors now for APP, PSEN1, and PSEN2. These are specific gene variants, and they're also being related to Alzheimer's. So we're not looking at just APOE4 anymore, okay? So it's not the only thing. And they've also found now that those people with elevated markers of LDL cholesterol, the higher your LDL, the more relation that was to getting early onset Alzheimer's. Very, very important to look at that because we have all these people out there right now, many of them doctors, saying it doesn't matter what your cholesterol is. It matters just about this, that, and the other thing. Well, here's the thing. Your cholesterol does matter because LDL cholesterol can be a sign of oxidized fat, oxidized or inflammation in the body. So it's an important marker. If you have higher levels of LDL, and as you hopefully learned last week on Last Friday Review with the lab results, and you have higher levels of CRP and higher levels of homocysteine, well, that's a recipe for disaster. That is a recipe for cardiovascular disease, and now we see as Alzheimer's. Because remember, even those people without an APOE4 gene variant or allele can still get Alzheimer's. You can get Alzheimer's with the 3-3 allele. You can. So it's important to look at that as well. You're not as susceptible, but you absolutely can get Alzheimer's. So important to look at this. Why did I bring it up today is because, remember, don't listen to the people saying that you can have super high cholesterol. And don't listen to the people that you should have super low cholesterol. Remember, it's not about being in the middle all the time, but it is about being balanced. Total cholesterol between 160 and 200 is just a safe place to be. Maybe you'll be okay with 240. Like that might be okay, right? That might be okay. But why chance it? That's how I look at it. It's like, why even take the chance? I don't see a reason to. And if you're a doctor, please don't tell your patients to take a chance. And if you're a health coach or, someone in this health field, don't be preaching to people to take a chance if their cholesterol is that high. Why? There's no need for it. There's absolutely no need. So just important to look at that. Stay balanced. Keep your LDL at least below 110. Ideally in the lab, it's below 100. Keep your HDL high enough to be in balance with your LDL and your total cholesterol. Keep your cholesterol to HDL ratio below a 3. Keep your homocysteine, as you learned last week, between a 6.5 and essentially an 8.5 or 9. Keep your CRP below a 1. All right? You're going to be doing well. You're going to be doing great. All right, the last one is this, and I know that I'm coming up against my time. Here we go. I love this right here. Okay, so here's the thing. Years ago, we found that eating blueberries regularly, those people that ate blueberries regularly, were at less risk for developing type 2 diabetes and cardiovascular disease. But you might say, well, it's fruit, and fruit is sugar. That could lead to diabetes. No, that is not how diabetes works. Diabetes works from higher levels of processed sugar and higher levels of oxidized fats that come up the cell, like omega-6s and trans fats. And again, I want to assure you, too, that LDL cholesterol that I was just talking about, that can be raised by processed foods and carbs. Okay, that's important to look at that because it's not just about saturated fats. It's also about fructose and higher levels of processed carbs. But here's what we just found. This was done, it was published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition in May 2019. So we're looking at just like 6 weeks ago, really up to date. Those people that ate 1 cup of blueberries a day. That's it, 150 grams. 1 cup of blueberries. 1 cup, that's it. They reduced their chance of cardiovascular disease by between 12 and 15%. That is remarkable. Not 5%, 12 to 15%. Now, so if you're also following along with all the different things that you can do, like balancing your omega-3s, getting your omega-3 score on an omega-3 test below a 3-to-1 for omega-6 to omega-3s. If you haven't run an omega-3 test, honestly, what are you waiting for? You have to run that test. You need to look at what your ratios are, where your EPA, your DHA is. I'm going to make sure we link that up today. It is the test to do. It's so, so important. But here's the thing. They found that, though, that 1 cup of blueberries, which improves cardiovascular health, actually was only found with the 1 cup versus the half a cup. So it looks, at least for right now, maybe this is all they were doing because, it's possible, because these are with at-risk people and overweight people, that you need the full cup to balance a lot of the oxidation with the anthocyanins, which give the blueberries and fruit in general, the berries, that bright color, that antioxidant, right? That antioxidant-rich color. So that's why it's also, to me, it blows my mind when people are saying you should never eat fruit. I mean, yes, we do that as well for a certain 3-week period of time when people are doing the 21-day detox or they're doing our beginning fat loss stages. But then we're bringing that back in. You can't eliminate brightly colored fruits and vegetables. You can't. It should be the cornerstone of your nutrition. Studies come out every single week proving this. Studies don't come out every single week showing you that eating large amounts of salami and bacon and all these other foods that people are promoting right now lead to tremendous health. You can eat more of those foods that I just mentioned if you have more antioxidant-rich food with nice fiber in your diet as well to combat the other oxidative-based stress. So important to look at that. Get in your 1 cup of blueberries a day. Ideally, I'm telling you, they're going to show more benefit. This was a 6-month study, which is amazing. But what if you were to do 1 to 2 cups of berries per day? Why not? Err on the side of all of these bright-colored plant-based foods. Thank you so much for tuning in today's show. I'm going to keep it at that for today. I'll bring you more lab results next week, but I'm going to keep it at that for today. Thank you so much for tuning in to another week of the Cabral Concept. Remember, on the weekends, we have our Cabral House calls where we're answering our community's questions each and every weekend. Stay tuned for those. I hope you have an amazing weekend, and I'll talk with you soon. Are you ready to heal yourself and then go on to heal others? If so, the Integrative Health Practitioner Institute can help you discover proven functional medicine protocols that blend the best of 7 different healing disciplines from around the world. I personally share with you the exact handouts and protocols I use in my private practice that enable people to get well, lose the weight, and live longer, stronger. I want to pass this information on to the next generation of health coaches, and that is exactly why I created IHP. We are the future of the health coaching industry, and the skills and knowledge you will learn will make you an in-demand certified health coach anywhere in the world. Although we have many medical professionals taking the IHP certifications, no experience is necessary, and half our members have no previous health certifications. At the Integrative Health Practitioner Institute, our motto is a health coach in every home. Our goal is that you take this knowledge and then share it with family, friends, loved ones, your community, or in a practice where you create a career you love and can be proud of. The global IHP community is filled with some of the most kind and caring people in the world, and we can't wait to welcome you into our world soon. For more information or to set up a discovery call with one of our IHP Health Coach graduates, simply head over to integrativehealthpractitioner.org.